players. Gary's an old vet. He's played before. I played next to him a lot, and just really knowing and understanding each other. And Emerson's more, learning and growing. But I mean, that guy's a freak. He's stronger than probably anyone in the room. Super athletic. So when he puts things together, he's great. But it's the consistency piece for him. And, we're really working on that. And I'm excited to see how he's going to grow through the rest of the spring and into next season.
There was a lot of emphasis on the defense side about getting bigger in the front seven on the defensive line. As an offensive lineman blocking that group, what has stood out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got big old dudes like Corey Walker on the edge. I played against him last year, gave me a couple of issues in that game, so good to see him on our side this year. But just having that challenge every practice, and we still have guys like Cheeks and DP, and then Mike backing up Corey right now. So I mean, definitely the front at the edges has gotten bigger, a lot more physical, playing into the tackles, which I think is exciting to see. It was a big step for our defense.
Is there any added challenge? You talked about going from a guy like Cheeks to a guy like Walker or Garner. I mean, there's a big difference there in terms of the skill set. How much do you notice that? How beneficial, or how much of a strength might that be able to be for this team? Just from knowing, your experience, knowing what it's like to face a variety of guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that even helps me a ton. I mean, in years past, we've kind of emphasized more speed and more outside linebacker bodies at that position. And obviously with like Cheeks and DP, you got that guy, but now they're playing the true 5-tech down lineman into the boundary a lot. So, that just gives me a different look. And, it's just another thought process before the play. Who am I going against? What's the play? What am I seeing from the defense? And most importantly, is it a speed guy, is it a power guy? Obviously they have both, but they play who they are. And, it just adds another wrinkle, and that's great for me because I get to learn from all that. I get to see all of it, and it's not like I'm playing Northwestern week 5, and that's the first, big defensive end I see all year. So, I mean, I think it's been great for me.
Obviously, last year's offense was just so different schematically and just from how it looked. What's the transition been like for an offensive line, but also just for the whole offense and kind of that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite an easy offense to understand. So, I mean, I think people are putting in the time, putting in the work to get better and truly understand it. And the fun thing is you get to see it week in and week out. People are more comfortable with the offense. People are better with their rules, better with their shifts and motions. So, just really seeing the growth each week has been awesome.
And Grimes obviously harps on that physicality so much, but how does he really instill that in you guys as a team?
Yeah, I mean, we always watch the inside period is the biggest for us. I mean, he always says that sets the example for the day, that sets the tone for the day. That's kind of the first team period we have. So, I mean, he's really hyping us up and getting us going for that period. And he always says, we got to keep that momentum. If we have a good one, we got to keep the momentum. But, I mean, if you're lagging a little bit, you're not great, you got to find a way to pick it up and change that momentum.
How important is the emphasis on that physical edge, knowing coming out to practice each day, you're going against guys that are 300 plus pounds on the defensive line?
Yeah, that physical edge is everything. I think that can make or break games. That can wear teams down. It's such a huge aspect in football that you can't just bring it on game days. You got to practice it every day. You can't just be tough or be physical on a game. You got to instill it in practice and do it against each other, and it just makes both sides better.
Yourself and some of the returners on the offensive line have been sort of the names that Coach Grimes was talking about as being the leaders on the offense. How much do you value that, and how do you try and, sort of take on that leadership role?
Yeah, I value it a lot. I mean, obviously Coach Grimes, it's awesome that he's mentioning my name, but you still got to live up to it, and you got to lead every day. You can't take days off in this. It puts more on my plate, but I mean, if it's for the better of the team, I'm glad to do it. And I know guys like Jake and Joe on the O-line, glad to do it too. And it's really bringing together not the O-line, but the whole offense, and then after that the whole defense, and building everyone up as a team.
A lot of eyes are on Kevin Heywood as the likely starting tackle. A lot of people can give him pointers and talk to him, but you're a guy on the roster with real experience starting at tackle. Have you given him any words of encouragement? How have you kind of monitored him?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, seeing Kevin's growth has been fun. He's starting to get it, and you see it each practice. I always talk to him. He's always down on himself. Man, I sucked this practice. I'm like, no, you had 2 or 3 bad plays. But you look at the whole of practice, you're doing these things so much better, and you're growing so much, and you're doing better here. And I think he's starting to get it. So I'm super excited for him and his future.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
What else stands out about Heywood when it comes to his personality?
I mean, yeah, he's a goofy, fun-loving guy. Like, kind of, that's his whole class of like Emerson, Corey, Cub, and him. You know, super tight group, which you love to see. You know, they're goofy, fun-loving guys, hang out with each other. You know, talk some smack to each other. So they're awesome people.
How did Billy Edwards assert himself as a leader early on?
Yeah, I mean, Billy's awesome. I mean, he came in right away, and he wasn't like pushing himself on the guys. You know, he kind of let it happen naturally. He slowly built these relationships. And now I think he's pretty comfortable with everyone on this offense. So then he can really have his voice heard, and, you know, everyone, you know, respects his voice and, you know, listens to his command. And, you know, he's really working with all of us, O-line, receivers, tight ends, running backs, all of it. So I think he's been great.
When it comes to older players, I feel like when guys like us ask questions about improvement, you know, it's mostly about the younger guys, like the first, you know, year or two. But like for an older guy, like how have you improved since the end of last season?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the run game, you know, really pad level and drive instead of like catching. And I think last year I was like too worried on the footwork and the hands, and like this year you're kind of just learning like tenacity and the drive, the physicality is what moves them, and then you can adjust your hands. I mean, you got to start with that aspect before you can refine techniques to this, you know, tighten it up. But you really got to build one before the other. So I think just being able to do that has helped.